Hola amigos de un round más. Pues hemos tenido grandes invitados, pero hoy nos brincamos en la barda con el que tenemos. Es un gran entrenador, fue boxeador y es de Massachusetts. Él es Freddie Roach. Muchas gracias por la entrevista.
Nice to see you.
Freddie, ¿eras boxeador?
Yes, boxing was part of my life. My dad was a boxer. My three brothers were professional boxers also. And it was part of life. Growing up, my first time in a boxing ring, I was 6 years old. So it was kind of fun.
¿La pasabas bien?
It was a lot of fun, yeah. I mean, fighting amateur boxing for 150 amateur fights, and then turning pro and having 54 pro fights. And, seeing guys like you fight was a pleasure, and I like boxing.
Se nota que te encanta.
Since I spend every day of my life in this gym. So this is where I do most of my training with my fighters, and then we gravitate upstairs a little later for the younger guys.
Ok. Pues, ¿listo para hablar de todo?
Yeah.
A darle. Pues gracias, Freddy, por recibirnos en su gimnasio. Muchas gracias por permitirnos estar con usted.
It's a pleasure to have you. I mean, having a great fighter in my gym like you is terrific.
Freddy, su familia y su señor padre fue boxeador. ¿Cómo fue el gusto? ¿Cómo llegaron al tema del gusto por el boxeo?
When we started liking the sport of boxing, it's probably about the time my father built a boxing ring in our backyard. And we used to invite kids over to come box, and we were more trained than they were, and we would beat them all up. And they wouldn't come back too often. And then I started going to a real boxing gym in South Boston, and it was a very popular place for Irish Americans to fight. And I was in my first tournament when I was 6 years old. I fought in the Junior Olympics, and I weighed 95 pounds.
Don Freddy, pues prácticamente, ¿qué le motivó? ¿Qué le motivaba a seguir en boxeo? ¿Qué veía? ¿Cómo se veía?
Yeah,
¿Qué soñaba?
What motivated me is my father mostly, because my father really loved that his kids were boxing, and he used to be a boxer. And then like my first amateur fight, that's a picture of it there in the green shorts. And I keep that up there because I lost that fight. I didn't win my first fight. I lost my first fight, and wow. it made me hungry, and I wanted more and more and more.
Freddy, ¿qué soñabas? ¿Soñabas ser gran boxeador? ¿Soñabas, lógicamente, con ser campeón del mundo?
I dreamt of being a world champion, yes. I was doing well in the amateurs, and then at 18 years old, I turned professional, and now it was for real. It was my dad was my trainer, and my mother wouldn't come watch me fight as a professional, because it was my job. It's what I did for a living. And she was a little against that. But it was what I wanted, and what I love to do.
¿Qué se siente cuando una parte de tu familia no aprueba lo que tú quieres ser? Y prácticamente tienes que ir a las peleas solo.
My first pro fight, my father was in the hospital. He was a little bit sick, and I went to the fight with my brother who drove me to Portland, Maine, and my cornerman, I don't know, but I went and won my first pro fight.
¿Eres el más chico, el más grande, el mediano? ¿Qué parte de la familia eres de los hermanos?
I am the middle. There's two older boys, 2 older girls, 1 older girl, 1 younger girl, 7 kids. I'm the middle.
Oye, don Freddie, ¿y no me lo golpeaban los hermanos mayores? ¿No entrenaban con usted?
Yeah. But my brother Pepper beat me up almost every day of my life. And until I wasn't satisfied, I would fight him every day until I could beat him. And then when my new trainer got involved, Mr. Eddie Fudge, it changed my life because now I could beat my older brother up.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so happy. Yeah.
Sí, cómo no. Oye, Freddie, cuando ya empezaste a pelear profesional, empezó a ganar peleas y vino la primera derrota. ¿Qué se sintió? ¿Qué pasó por su mente?
Feeling my first loss, when I lost my first fight, it was my 10th pro fight. I was 10-0, and then I lost a decision. At first I thought I got robbed. I thought I won the fight, and then I started realizing, no, I need to get better. I need to work harder. I need to really, really dedicate myself and give 100% to this sport because it's a hard sport. And from that point on, I won 17 straight. So now I was 27-1, and when I hit that mark, it made me happy because losing was the worst thing in the world for me.
Sí, claro. Sin lugar a dudas, perder es lo peor. ¿Qué pasó cuando finalmente no se pudo concretar el sueño deportivo de boxeador y te tuviste que retirar?
That came to me a little bit later. I had a meeting with my trainer, Eddie Fudge, and me and him sat down, and he talked about being something else, not a boxer. I had lost a couple more fights in between, and he had suggested that I retire from boxing and go into something else. We didn't talk about training yet, but that was always in my mind a little bit. Maybe I could be not a world champion, but maybe I could be a good trainer. And so when Eddie suggested that I retire, I thought in my mind during that meeting, I'm going to become his assistant. And I showed up every day. And every day I do like mitts and punches and training, helping him train his fighters. And it worked out very well.
Y ahí empezó la carrera de Freddie Roach como entrenador, ahí con ese sueño. Ya me dice usted que le dio oportunidad de trabajar, pero ¿cuándo su entrenador, cuando Eddie Fudge se dio cuenta de que ya tenía un asistente sin haberlo contratado?
It was kind of odd because he never hired me, and I just showed up every day. He never paid me. I didn't want money. I wanted knowledge. I wanted to learn. Yeah. And he already taught me how to fight. And I did the best I could. But I wanted him to teach me to be a trainer. And I would ask questions a lot. And I just showed up every day at the gym. I worked for him for 6 years with just a handshake, and I helped him get his fighters ready for all their fights.
Sí, pero la pregunta era más bien relacionada a qué hacía, o sea, en qué momento el entrenador, Eddie, se dio cuenta de que tenía un sin darse cuenta, sin haberlo contratado, sin nada, ¿en qué momento lo tomaron como, pues, bueno, ya tengo second aquí? ¿Y cuándo lo tomaron en serio? Pues, ¿cuándo se dieron cuenta que ya tenían un ayudante sin haberlo contratado?
Yes, we started winning a lot of fights, and everything was going really well. And the fighters used to say, "Freddie, how come you do all the work, but we don't ever pay you?" I says, "Well, I have a deal with Eddie, and he's teaching me to be a great trainer, and it's okay. Right now it's okay." But then, I started training. Eddie had a very good stable of fighters, and I started training like Virgil Hill and Marlon Starlin, and they were both future world champions, and they wanted me to train them, and Eddie said, "No, Freddie, I want you to stay with me." And I said, "But these two fighters I've been training for a long time can go a long way and possibly win world titles." And that's when me and Eddie had a little bit of difference. And I took Marlon and Virgil in my stable, my first stable of fighters, and they left Eddie fight.
Antes de que lleguemos a esa parte de que se separó de ellos, durante esos seis años que trabajó de mano, ¿cómo sobrevivía? ¿O tenía un trabajo alterno? ¿O qué hacía?
Yes, I had a job. At 4 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the morning, every day, I was a salesman on the phone.
Okay.
Telemarketing. And like you have every phone book on the back wall, and you pick a subject that maybe you know about, and so you call people up, and you have just won 5 prizes. And it was a job that I made $300 a week. It was enough to pay the rent and have a little bit of food. So it was it's what I did for a long time, and telemarketing was very popular in Las Vegas, and it wasn't a glamorous job, but I didn't want people thinking that Freddie Roach was calling them up, and maybe they might know me from boxing, maybe. But so my phone name was Joe Davis.
Joe Davis.
Joe Davis.
Escuchar historias como estas son complicadas porque la gente malentiende muchas veces que fue boxeador, fue entrenador y ya, y triunfó un día de un sapo, ¿no? La verdad es que son historias impresionantes, mi admiración ahí con todo lo que vamos descubriendo. Oiga, don Freddy, ¿qué pasó con estos dos boxeadores que se llevó como primera parte de su establo? ¿Cómo le fue con ellos? ¿Cómo se sintió? ¿Y hasta dónde llegaron con ellos?
Both those fighters, when now I have my own stable, and Eddie was a little bit mad at me, but it was a choice that I thought I had to make a living. And Virgil was the first world champion that I trained, former Olympic silver medalist, and he won a world title with me. And then Marlon Starlin was my second world champion. So now I have 2 world champions, and things started to change. More people, more fighters. I was getting busier and busier, and I loved it. I was so happy that I was at that point in my life. I was sad that I couldn't win a world title, but I was very happy that I could make a world champion.
Así es, podía ser campeón mundiales. Y don Freddy, empezaba a sonar la registradora. ¿Qué hacía con los primeros billullos que llegaron?
The first big bucks I had, I bought a fancier car. I didn't want to drive a piece of junk anymore. So I got a nice car, and you know, for those, when I was with those two fighters, they would give me 10% of their purses, and they, you know, fighting world title fights, they're making good money, and everyone is happier in my family, and because I shared with everybody.
Claro. ¿Y qué pasó con la visión de su señora madre que pues no le gustaba el boxeo, que usted fuera boxeador, pero pues ya no era boxeador, ya era entrenador y le estaba yendo pues mejor, le estaba yendo bien, estaba logrando cosas como tener campeones mundiales, medallistas olímpicos, y pues al final del día ya salía para el desayuno y la comida y la cena?
Yes, and my mother, you know, she had 7 kids, and she lived a tough life. My father wasn't the easiest guy in the world to live with, and sometimes he would beat us up, sometimes maybe he would beat her up, and I didn't like that at all. So when I moved to Los Angeles, I bought a duplex, and she lived on one side and I lived on the other, and I told her whatever she wants, she can have. And she enjoyed life much better with me than my father, and she was very happy that we were close, and she actually became a boxing judge, even though she wouldn't watch my fights. But she was the first female boxing judge in the state of Massachusetts. And she felt that she had seen so many fights in her lifetime with me and my brothers and everyone else on those boxing shows that she was qualified to do that. And the boxing commission, they gave her okay, and she had a new job.
Terminó convenciendo a la mamá de que entrara al boxeo.
Yeah, she loved being a boxing judge. It was something that she took very seriously, and she didn't like bad decisions, and so I think she was as fair as possible. But sometimes I'd give her a little, I said, "Why'd you vote for him? You like the color of his trunks?" And I gave her a hard time sometimes.
Oiga, don Freddy, algo que se nos está pasando. Usted era pleitero en la calle, ¿no?
I was a fighter, yes. Sometimes in the street. I think only to protect my family or myself. But
¿Era muy rudo donde vivía?
But my passion in life was here, the boxing gym,
Sí.
and to teach the fighters. And you know, from 2 world champions, I went to like 35 world champions, and it was really what I wanted. I wanted to have more world champions than my trainer Eddie Fudge, and that came true somewhere along the way. But I worked as hard as I could as a trainer, though, because I was very dedicated to the sport, and all my fighters were very dedicated also.
Don Freddy, ¿cuántos campeones mundiales ha tenido en toda su historia?
I think we're about 41, but I don't keep track that well, and the girl that works for me upstairs, Marie, she knows.
¿Usted cree que el secreto de lo que vivió, cómo fue su vida, cómo fue su carrera de boxeo, es una parte importante de cómo entender a los boxeadores y cómo intentar ayudarles y saber que que lo malo que vivió, cómo traducirlo para que sus peleadores no cometan los mismos errores?
Yes, you know, the experiences that I went through, it taught me a good lesson, and all my fighters work really hard though. I say work hard and good things happen. So I don't let anyone like take it easy in the ring. All my fighters work very hard and they're very dedicated. And if they weren't dedicated or didn't work hard, go somewhere else. You know, so like, and then, you know, like growing up watching fighters like you fight and winning world titles and so forth, I was very envious of you because I wanted to be a world champion too. And I wasn't good enough. But making world champions became my passion.
Claro, pero yo soy entrenador ahora, y ahora yo tengo envidia de usted, de un entrenador tan inteligente que no he podido descifrar cuál es la regla, el secreto de cómo le hace para entrenarlos, porque alcanzo a ver que no tiene marcado un estilo, sino le da permiso a todos de ser como son, pero no encuentro cuál es el secreto para destacar la grandeza de cada uno.
Yeah, it just, I think, because I tell them all that, you know, work hard and good things happen. So they work hard from road work to the boxing gym to sparring. You know, it's just every day I come here, and today I got here at 6:15 because somebody special was coming. So, but you know, watching you fight, and I enjoy. Yes, I learn from fighters like you. If I can make my fighters like you or like similar to you, they're gonna win world titles. And I have one of my boys fighting next week in Los Angeles. He's from Ireland, a good prospect, and he's learning along the way. But you know, he only has 3 fights, so he's still a little bit green, but he wants to fight, and he has a big heart, and he works very hard every day.
Gracias, gracias, don Freddy, gracias. La verdad es que hay muchos campeones mundiales, no necesariamente su servidor. ¿Cuáles son los peleadores que más ha visto o ha aprendido que no son suyos, pero dice, Sugar Ray Leonard, Tom Harris, no sé, del pasado, de una época, que le robara a cada uno algo para poder implementarlo en su gimnasio, o para simplemente ponerlo como ejemplo de decir, hey, vamos a hacer esto, para poder progresar con sus boxeadores?
You know, like good fighters, watching good fighters is very important to me, because I like the moves they make, and I want my fighters to be able to make those moves. You know, it's like Terrence Crawford. I think he's one of the best boxers in the world right now. He's very knowledgeable. His cornermen come and talk to him, but he doesn't seem to listen too well. He just goes out there and figures the guy out in the first round, and then he'll knock him out sometime between 2 and 3. And you know, so watching fighters like that really helps me to make my fighters that good, because you know, you can have them watch the film with you, and that helps someone too, so they can learn a little bit quicker of what I'm trying to relay to them, what I'm talking about.
Right. Muy bien. Sí, 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 sin lugar a dudas es algo fundamental e importante, ¿no? Ver los videos con ellos. Usted ha tenido muchos peleadores. De todos los que ha tenido, yo sé que hay muchos nombres muy famosos, ¿no? Manny Pacquiao y otros tantos. Pero hablemos tantito primero de los que nunca llegaron. Que usted decía, este es grandioso, es buenísimo, pero algo pasó. Y pues, ¿qué pasó? ¿Por qué no llegaron en su ver? ¿Qué pasaba? ¿Y quiénes fueron más o menos nombres que los fans y la historia del boxeo se perdieron por alguna situación?
Unfortunately, there are fighters out there that don't make it. And, you know, working here every day with them and just trying to help them learn along the way and get better. But sometimes they don't. And after a certain amount of time, it's just like, am I just wasting time with this guy, or this guy is just not capable of learning that quickly? Maybe he's in a slower pace. And I had a fighter from Florida one time, and he told me that he's in the boat business and his family is doing well and so forth. And I said to him one day, I said, you know, I don't think you're going to make it as a fighter. You just don't have the killer instinct, or that maybe that fire that you might need somewhere along the way. And he says, well, how can you say that to me? You fought for the title, and I says, don't compare me and you. I said, I'm just trying to help you become a better fighter. And I suggest maybe you go back home to Florida and enjoy your life with the boat business. And it seemed like his family was somewhat wealthy, and I think he could have a better life in Florida than he could here trying to be a boxer, because he couldn't catch on there. He just wasn't a fighter. And every day I put him in the ring and see him get beat up in sparring and so forth. And I didn't like that. I didn't want people getting beat up every day, because they love the sport, but they weren't good enough to be a contender or even a prospect. So I remember him going home and crying, and he was very upset with me, but I was just giving him my honest opinion. And that's one thing you can count on me. I will always give my honest opinion.
¿Qué tiene en el verde Freddie Roach? ¿Qué tiene que tener un boxeador para que Freddie Roach se anime a entrenarlo? ¿Qué le ve? ¿Qué puntos, qué conceptos tiene que tener? ¿Qué le tiene que ver?
I think the aspects that you have to see is that they really, really want to do it. I mean, you see it every day. Dedication, hard work, like my Irish boy right now from Ireland. I'm having a little bit of a problem with him because he has one bad hand, and he keeps injuring his left hand. He's a southpaw, and I'm worried about his career going on before. I've got to get that hand fixed. And sometimes I tell him to put it in his pocket and don't use it, you know. And so yeah, I just try my best to make them their best, and it's been working pretty well. And like right now, I have 17 fighters. 17 fighters that I train down here every day, and a couple good prospects, yes, and a couple guys just coming up and just learning, yes, and but nobody that doesn't work hard. Everybody, if they come here, if they come downstairs, if they're invited here, they better not take it for granted, because Otherwise, they're going to be upstairs by themselves.
Fíjate que eso me di cuenta la primera vez. ¿Por qué Freddie Roach decidió hacer un gimnasio abajo y por qué tiene otro arriba? ¿Qué significa por qué unos aquí y unos allá arriba?
You have to earn to come down here. A fighter like you would be down here, yes. No, I'm being honest, but the thing is, if they don't have it and they don't work hard enough, and they're not dedicated, I don't have time for that. I need good fighters that will spar hard and work hard and become better fighters. And I do mitts. I do a lot of mitts with my fighters every day, and I can do that. I can do that all day. It's my favorite thing to do. Catch punches, combinations, teaching them the right ways to deliver the punches, and where to go defensively. See, like me, I wasn't a good defensive fighter. I was more of a punching bag, But the thing is, I tried to learn, and Eddie tried to teach me, but I just didn't have that quality. And so when my fighters come down here, they have to work hard and they have to impress. If they impress me, I'm happy. And I do have a couple of good prospects. One from the Dominican Republic, a very good young prospect. He had one loss, and then his promoter said bye-bye. They let him go, and now we're looking for a new promoter for him. But he is a good prospect, and he did have, they put him over his head a little bit in one of his bouts. I think they moved him a little bit too quickly, which is something you have to be careful about. Just you want to move him at a good pace, but not a very fast pace.
Don Freddie, a lo largo de la vida ha visto muchos peleadores, ha tenido muchos campeones, ha tenido el ojo para entender quién está dando su 100 y quién está no se gana el espacio aquí abajo. ¿Qué le vio a Manny Pacquiao cuando lo vio? Porque dice la historia ahí que usted lo vio y dijo, ese. ¿Qué fue? ¿Qué pasó?
Yes, Pacquiao walked in the gym upstairs. This wasn't built. We hadn't built it yet. So Pacquiao walked in, and he had a couple of managers with him, and they asked me. They said, "We hear that you're pretty good at mitts and training fighters. Would you like to train Manny?" I says, "Yeah, come on." So we went right to the ring, and after one round, I said, "Wow, this kid can punch. He's quick, very fast." And he said to his trainer, to his manager, "I think we have a new trainer." One day we got together, and then we just started working together every day. And then he had his first world title fight, and he won that by a 4-round KO, a South African fighter. And he just was catching on really, really fast. And he had good speed, good power, and he by far is, when I tell people, the people say, "Why did you build a gym?" I said, "You never know when the next Muhammad Ali is going to come through your door." And why I opened the gym is because my Muhammad Ali was Manny Pacquiao. When Manny Pacquiao walked through that door, it changed my life. It just everything started getting better. He was getting better. I think I was getting better. I was learning more about what I have to the training aspect of it, and I was learning also, and I said, maybe it's me that I can't. I'm the one that shouldn't be lazy, and my work ethic is really, really good, and but that's because the fighters, they want to work. And Pacquiao was every day, 40 rounds, just every day. Bang, 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 40. He averaged 40 rounds a day. And then he used to run to the sign, the Hollywood sign up there, and go around twice and back down. He's very dedicated, and that's why he's won 8 world titles. And you know, he's by far my best and my happiest moment. That he's my Muhammad Ali. He came through my door, and that was why that's why I have this gym, because good fighters, they come to gyms like that.
Sin lugar a dudas, hablar de Manny Pacquiao es hablar, tienen que hablar de Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach, no puedo hablar, es mutuamente, es algo... Porque si también no tienes el entrenador indicado, pues puede ser muy bueno, pero no destacas. Y si puede ser mutuamente, se necesita un entrenador y un boxeador. Tiene que haber esa compaginación. ¿En qué momento alucinaron? Y no de mala palabra, pero ¿en qué momento pensaron y dijeron, pues alucinaron y dijeron, vamos a más peso? Porque empezó chiquito, vamos a más. ¿No te daba miedo, no le daba miedo, don Freddy, sabiendo que tenía mucha experiencia, que en la lógica del boxeo siempre se hablaba de que un boxeador pequeño, si subía de peso, lo podían lastimar o no le podía ganar un peso bueno, grande?
Yeah, when Pacquiao came through my door, I had a couple world champions, but it wasn't growing as fast as you may think. But when Pacquiao came through, and then he started, for the South African fighter Ludwaba, who he wasn't supposed to beat, and he knocked him out in the 4th round, I believe. And he started coming to the gym every day and working every day. His work ethic was the best of ever. Like, if somebody wanted to come in and see how a fighter works, I would watch him. And he averages 40 rounds a day, every day, and just works. He's very dedicated, and that's what got him to where he is today. And then he's got me to where I am today also, because nobody mentions my name unless they mention Manny Pacquiao's name. And I like that they don't separate us, because we did the best we could for a long time. And it's funny because right now, his son is training upstairs.
See?
Yes. He's 3 wins, 1 loss, and amateur, and he wants to try boxing. And will he be the next Manny Pacquiao? Maybe, but his work ethic is good. He trains hard, and he has a fight this weekend coming up, and his mother is here to watch him fight for the first time.
Okay.
So he'll do the best he can. He'll try. He's got a lot of heart. He didn't like boxing for a long time, because that's what took his father away from him for a long time, because his father was so busy with fights, training, he didn't really have a good relationship with his father growing up, because Manny was always training here in America, fighting all over the world and so forth. So the kid finally, something got to me. He's 21 years old, and he's doing the best he can. He doesn't remind me of Manny yet, but he still has time.
¿Cuántos Muhammad Ali han pasado esa puerta? Bueno, la de arriba.
A good handful. We've had some good prospects come through that door, yes. And maybe the best day I had in this gym, when I first started this gym, it was slow. We didn't have too many customers. I was giving handouts to people on the street. And then I was sitting upstairs one day, and I was by myself, and Muhammad Ali walked through my door. And I says, wow, this is like kind of, I wasn't sure if it was real. And then he says, can I train here? Yeah. And he says, where's the dressing room? And I showed him. And then he came out, and he had Parkinson's disease, and he was shaking a little bit. I asked him for an autograph, and he couldn't write that well. And then he says, you have Parkinson's also? I says, yes. And he says, your symptoms aren't as bad as mine. And I says, sometimes. I says, but, so he worked out, and then he played jokes, he did magic. He stayed for 6 hours. It was like the best 6 hours we ever had in the gym. Just like from playing jokes to hitting the bag to being serious. He was just a very, very nice person. He asked me, can my daughter train here? I said yes. And I was always like a Joe Frazier fan, because Joe Frazier was Eddie Fudge's fighter, and I always liked Joe Frazier better than Muhammad Ali. But when that day came and Muhammad Ali entertained us for 6 hours, and just like I saw the person he really was, it was, he's my favorite fighter now.
Oye, don Freddy, cuando tuvo Manny Pacquiao y le tocaba, ¿empezó a tener un poquito más sentido su vida o pensaba que iba a ser igual? O sea, un buen campeón, ya me decía que era un peleador muy entregado, muy dedicado, pero lo veía, en ese momento lo veía subir de división tantas veces y ganarle a otras estrellas del boxeo, como sucedió después, o simplemente pues podía ser un campeón que podía mantenerse ahí por mucho tiempo.
Yes, when he came here, he had fought for the world title twice, I believe 108 pounds and 112 pounds before he came here. And then when he beat Ledwaba, that was at 122 pounds. And that was our first championship together. And I never thought that, you know, this guy is going to be like, win 8 titles. And you can never guess that. I mean, because it's hard enough to win 1 title.
Yes.
I mean, I know, because I couldn't do it. And I still have a little bit of, I'm jealous of you. Because I tried so hard to win a world title. And I did everything I thought I was supposed to, and I trained hard every day. And but it just wasn't there. You know, not everybody's born with what you have, I would say. But you know, I tried my best to win a world title. I fought for the title twice. I lost both times, and but you know, one time I fought one of my idols, and I said, "Look at this! I'm going in the ring against a guy that was my idol when I was a kid growing up." And I fought hard. I tried to win that fight. I knocked him down twice, but I lost a 12-round decision. And that's when I said, I'm not getting better. I'm going to go into something else. And for 1 year, I was kind of lost. I didn't know where to go. And then I said, well, I'm going to start showing up at the gym with Mr. Fudge every day. And then I never missed a day. And I think that was like, he taught me more about boxing on the second half than he did on the first as a fighter. So it was a very good education, and I thank him for it every day of my life. And it was just he taught me some very, very important good aspects of what it takes to be a world champion or even a good fighter.
La persona en general, muchas veces solamente vemos lo deportivo, muchas veces porque es lo que vemos, lo que presentamos. Pero mucha gente no entiende y no ve lo que hay atrás, como todo lo que hemos platicado, ¿no? Para usted, en lo personal, en el amateur, en el profesional, como entrenador, ¿cuál ha sido su mejor triunfo? O en su vida personal, ¿cuál ha sido su mejor triunfo y su peor derrota?
Well, my best achievement, no doubt, is Manny Pacquiao, and his work ethic and my work, we mix together very well, and he worked very hard every day. And my worst, I don't like to lose. I mean, I've lost like 13, 14 times in my life, and I wish sometimes I could go back and do that over, because maybe I could do it a little better and work a little harder, but that's gone now, and so I'm stuck with training fighters and being a trainer, and it's not the worst job in the world, but I would rather be on the other side. I'd rather be the champion, but it just I realized that I wasn't good enough.
Pero don Freddy, a veces uno quiere hacer una cosa, pero nuestra vocación es para otra, ¿no? Y hay que aceptar lo que somos y hay que vivirlo con dignidad. Y usted lo ha hecho muy, muy bien como entrenador. Y no ha sido campeón una vez, ha sido campeón muchas veces. Porque al final del día, los peleadores no van a ser muchos si no tienen una persona que les sepa decir clara las cosas y cómo deben de ser. Y la pregunta prácticamente sería, ¿qué le motiva? ¿Qué cree Freddie Roach que le sale, de dónde le sale esa información para decirle la correcta? O en alguna parte cree que se ha equivocado en decir palabras, o se ha quedado con las ganas de decir algo y que pasó algo adverso y dice, oye, me equivoqué, debía haber dicho algo diferente?
I believe that I have made that mistake of giving maybe the wrong advice in the ring sometimes. Like, okay, now you're doing okay out there, but I want you to throw more combinations and so forth, and it doesn't work. And sometimes as a trainer, you try to give them the best information you can, but it's really just my opinion of what the best can be. And it's so like sitting here talking to you, and you're a world champion, and I idolize what you are, and I wanted to be that so badly. I worked I worked really, really hard to try to get there, but it didn't work. I just couldn't push the right buttons. And one thing about being a world champion, nobody can ever take that away from you. Nobody. It's a champion, and you're a great fighter, and you're a great person, and everything about you is like you're my friend. And but the thing is, as a trainer, we're not perfect. We try hard, and we try to make everyone a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, and so they can show their skills, maybe on TV or in front of a large crowd. And being a trainer of these people, it's my passion. It's what I do. It's what I like. I come here early in the morning and I leave here late at night. And I built this gym because, like, when Pacquiao came and the other fighters and so forth, and I wanted him to be able to train in something a little more special than upstairs, because downstairs is a little more fancy, or. Right. But the thing is, he didn't care. He likes upstairs better than downstairs because that's where he started, and so I've built that gym first, this gym second, the weightlifting gym third. I built a weightlifting gym because I don't like when my fighters have to go somewhere else. So I built a strength gym next door so they will stay here and they can get all their work done here. So I've spent all my money on this gym, and it was worth it to me. It's the gym, it does okay, but I'm close to broke.
Why?
Because I built this whole gym. So, but the thing is, I enjoy what I do. I enjoy the atmosphere and being here, being upstairs, being next door. It's all the same to me. And I used to live over there for 10 years, and then I got enough money to buy a house, so it was okay.
Okay. ¿De plano le pagan muy poquito, qué? Si has ganado muchas peleas de título mundial, Freddie.
I'll tell you what. A long time ago,
muchos campeones.
A long time ago, when I built the first gym, I wanted everybody to be able to come.
Sí.
Everybody. So I still charge $5 a day. That's how much it costs. From day one to now is the same. It's $5 a day, and I know it's not a lot of money, and I probably won't make a lot of money, but I want everyone to be able to come here, work out, and feel good about themselves. And there's a different crew that comes in here that are prospects and very good fighters and so forth. And that's why I separated this a little bit.
Freddie, ¿podemos entrar a las guerras de las peleas? Por ejemplo, la rivalidad contra los mexicanos. De Manny contra los mexicanos. ¿Qué pensaba? ¿Cómo veía? Son boxeadores para adelante.
It's a great rivalry, yes. But I remember one time they tried to call Manny the Mexican assassin, and he said no. Because
no, pues me los traía jodidos a todos, ¿cómo no?
But without the Mexican fighters, he wouldn't be famous or maybe rich. I mean, because his best fights were always against Mexican fighters. I mean, that's where he shined on TV, and if it wasn't for Mexican fighters, he might not be so famous.
¿Qué pasó por su mente cuando tuvieron al primer mexicano? En este caso fue Juan Manuel Márquez. ¿Cómo fue esa pelea de tenerlo en la lona 3 veces y se le levantó?
Those are the fights that made Pacquiao. You know, the 3 knockdowns, and then the next time it was more difficult, and they ended up fighting 3 times? 4?
The first fight?
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. And then, but those were like, those are the fights that made him a hero, and not just in the Philippines, but I think maybe in the world. Because the Mexican fans are by far very knowledgeable fans, and they know boxing very well, and they know a good fighter and they know a bad fighter. And you know, Pacquiao comes to fight, and he had some great fights with Mexican fighters, but he didn't win them all, but he surely tried his best.
Generalmente cuando un peleador tiene un knockout tan aparatoso o complicado, pues mucha la gente, la prensa y mucha gente dice, hey, es momento de irse, ha tenido grandes guerras. ¿Qué pasó por su mente o cuál fue su consejo hacia Manny Pacquiao cuando tuvo esa cuarta pelea y desafortunadamente cayó noqueado en X round? No me acuerdo qué round, pero cayó. ¿Qué pensó y cuál fue el consejo de Freddie Roach a Manny Pacquiao?
After that fight, I was very worried about Manny's health, because when he got knocked out, he was laying in the ring, like sleeping for a long time, for too long for me. It was just
Sí, para todos.
yeah. So we got back to the dressing room, and I took Manny aside and I started asking him questions. And I started asking him questions that I knew he knew the answers to. You know, like, you know, Manny, you okay? Anything hurt? And, you okay? So then I said to him, who do you want to go with you to the hospital, your wife or me? And he says, my wife. I said, okay. So him and his wife got in the ambulance, and he said to me, Freddie, before I go in the ambulance, I have to wash my face. And I said, why? And he says, because I have blood all over my face. I said, how do you know? And he says, I can feel it. So I said, okay, go wash your face. And he washed his face, and he got in the ambulance, and he left. But the questions I asked him, that he gave me answers that I knew were correct. I knew he was okay. He was, you know, because when I was in the ring, when I'm looking at him laying down there, just like he was sleeping, I thought he was hurt. But when he came back to the dressing room, and I just gave him like a little test on just where his mind was at. And when he picked his wife to go in the ambulance, and he wanted to wash his face, I said he knows where he's at right now. He's gonna fight again. And like the thing is, one thing about Manny Pacquiao, if we like after that knockout, we didn't pick an easy opponent for the next fight. We picked a hard opponent because we like fighting hard fights, and that's what he enjoys best. So you know, I knew he was okay, and just by the little conversation we had, and I'm not a doctor, but I've seen people get hurt in the ring before, and some hurt seriously, and some not so bad. But I knew Manny was okay right at that point.
Y después de esa pelea tuvieron otras grandes peleas y finalmente llegó la pelea esperada, ¿no? La pelea con Floyd Mayweather. ¿Cómo se reponen o después de un knockout? ¿Qué le dice un entrenador a su peleador? ¿Cómo lo entrena? ¿No le da miedo mandarlo a la guerra y que lo vuelvan a acostar? Y otra cosa es, veía ya lejos la oportunidad de esa gran pelea que estaba en el aire, que era contra Floyd.
Yeah, I saw that fight being maybe not be able to happen because Mayweather just kept postponing the fight, and you know, by the time they fought, Manny had a bad shoulder. He needed surgery on his shoulder, and Mayweather, they let him shoot his hands up. Manny Pacquiao, he was going to use the same painkiller with his shoulder, and they told him if he does get an injection in his shoulder, they're going to disqualify him from the fight, and it's not legal for him, but it was legal for Mayweather. But after the fourth round in that fight, he said, "Freddie, I can't throw my left hand anymore. It's too sore." And I said to him, "Manny, do you want me to stop the fight?" He says, No, don't stop the fight. He says, I'm going to try to win. He said, but I just want to let you know my shoulder is really sore. And no, he lost a decision. Not a great fight. It didn't build up to as big as it was supposed to be, I think. But it was maybe a little boring.
Termina la pelea contra Floyd. ¿Cómo motivas a un peleador? Sé que lo platicas, el hombro era un problema, pero ¿cómo lo vuelves a motivar una vez más? ¿O cómo lo frenas y le dices, cuál fue el tema ahí de volver a agarrar a Timothy Bradley para el título mundial y detenerlo? Hey, espérate, tranquilo, o lo dejas ir que persiga su sueño?
Yeah, to continue his dreams, we did have surgery on the shoulder, and it felt a lot better, and so we're in another tough fight coming up. And like I said before, though, Manny doesn't like easy fights. He likes to fight the best out there, and you know, when he lost in Australia, it was maybe a controversial decision, but he lost on the scorecards, and you know, I didn't think he lost, but it was a close enough fight.
¿Qué pasó en Australia? ¿Por qué? Yo lo vi como desesperado, lo vi como ansioso, como no saber qué hacer con un peleador que no tenía pies ni cabeza, que tiraba golpes de cualquier ángulo, que hacía un boxeo, pues con todo el perdón del peleador, pero era un peleador, un estilo muy feo, muy diferente a todo lo que había enfrentado Manny en toda su carrera.
Yeah, he did fight a very awkward fighter, but it's just, I think Manny was just starting to maybe slow down a little bit. He wasn't the same Manny Pacquiao that we saw earlier in his career. And, you know, everybody gets old. I mean, at some point. And I think Manny showed that in that fight, that he didn't fight his best fight for sure.
¿Cuál es la pelea que le ha gustado, independientemente del nombre de su peleador? ¿Cuál es la pelea que Freddie Roach ha disfrutado más de todas las peleas contra quienes ha subido con su pupilo? Que se sienta orgulloso, que diga, esta.
When he knocked out Hatton, that was like one of my favorite fights. That was a great knockout. That was one of my favorite fights.
Sí, fue un bonito knockout. Muy feo, o sea, como le quieras ver, ¿no? ¿De qué lado estás? O muy bonito o muy feo, pero sí, fue muy espectacular. Y la pelea que ha dicho don Freddy, esta sí estuvo de la canción. Es la peor pelea que yo he visto. No quería estar ahí siquiera.
That would be the when he was knocked out by
Márquez.
Marquez. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that one. Was,
Terrific time.
Yeah, that was it. That was you know, it's so funny. I thought he was about to knock his opponent out. I thought he had him hurt, and when he stepped in and he stepped on his foot and lost his balance and got hit with that right hand. That was the worst loss ever. I was worried about Manny's health at that point.
¿Alguna vez Freddie Roach le ha dicho a Manny, ya no más box para ti, ya a tu casa, córrele?
I haven't used those words. Last time I saw Manny, he dropped his son off in the parking lot and said, "Freddie, take care of my son." And he was going home for the election. He wants to be president.
Yeah.
And now I hear about exhibitions, a fight, a rematch with Mayweather. You hear a lot of things, but I haven't heard it from Manny, and he's. I don't know if I have a job anymore. If he fights again, do I train him? I don't know, because we talk once in a while, but how you doing, and that's about it.
Pues ya casi para terminar, don Freddy, ¿a cuántos peleadores o a quiénes le ha dolido tenerle que dar la mala noticia de que se tienen que ir de este deporte?
It's hard to give anyone bad news like that. When you tell the fighter it's over, or like you need to retire, I'm looking out for your health and so forth. That's a very tough thing to do, but it's something that I will do though. Like right now, they talk about Manny fighting again in the exhibition. I just say, man, you don't need to fight anymore. You have nothing to prove to the world. You're a great fighter, and I think you should live with that.
Claro. Tres últimas cosas. He tenido la oportunidad de platicar con los mexicanos, los entrenadores mexicanos, y que están aquí en California, y constantemente yo creo que los veo a todos de un lado y del otro y de aquello, ¿no? Que es Manny Robles, Joel Díaz y Robert García. Y les hice la pregunta. Ellos me dieron quiénes son su peor enemigo o su rivalidad más fuerte. Para usted, ¿cuál es la rivalidad más fuerte contra los mexicanos, los de las personas de color, afroamericanos o los asiáticos? ¿Cuál es la competencia más dura como entrenador? Cuando va contra ellos dice, híjole, ahí sí hay que ponerle trabajo.
The biggest rivalry for me is the Mexican trainers. I just faced maybe the best Mexican trainer of all time. Tell me his name. We all know him. He's very
Nacho Beristain.
Yes. I just lost a fight against him a month ago. It's still.
Te ganó con Rey Vargas, ¿va?
Yeah.
Le ganó con Rey Vargas.
Rey Vargas. Yes.
Maxayo.
Yeah. Yes. So I mean, I hate losing to him, but I know he's good, and he's very good at what he does. He's a very smart man.
Sí, es inteligente. Recién acabo de hablar con él. Sí, son grandes personajes ustedes, los entrenadores que tienen muchos años. La verdad es que son
Is he still a good
hay mucho
trainer?
que aprenderles de ustedes.
Is he still a good trainer? He's getting
Sabe
older.
mucho,
He's
tiene mucha idea y sabe.
He's getting older, yeah.
Sigue, aunque es un señor ya grande de edad, de 80 y que de años, sabe dirigir, sabe moverse, pues usted dígame, pues lo acaba de enfrentar.
Yeah, and he won.
Sí,
So,
es difícil.
I didn't expect that, but it happened.
Yo ando haciendo mis pininos, ¿no? Lo he enfrentado a don Freddie, he enfrentado creo que a Nacho lo he enfrentado una vez nomás, y he enfrentado a algunos. Hasta hoy me ha ido bien, pero quién sabe más para adelante, ¿verdad? Pero algún día espero, hoy se puede llamar suerte para muchos. Vamos a ver si con el trabajo Dios me permita ganar con mis peleadores muchas peleas y pueda ser un buen entrenador, porque eso todavía está por verse, ¿no? Mi nueva meta es el Salón de la Fama de boxeo, de entrenador.
Because I know you have it in you to be a great trainer, for sure. But the work ethic and if you get good fighters who work hard, you'll have world champions, I'm sure. Because I know you more as a fighter. I've seen many of your fights, and they're always enjoyable, and I like watching you fight. You're a good puncher, you're very strong, and it's like, when I had Eddie Fudge teaching me how to be a trainer, it was different from being a boxer. It was a whole different level of what he was trying to get across to my mind. Being a trainer, him training me to be a trainer was different from being a fighter.
Don Freddy, no me voy a quedar con las ganas, se lo voy a preguntar. ¿Qué era lo que veía que yo no hacía bien y en eso se basaban para atacarme? No me mienta, Don Freddy.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like my fight last week. The trainer of my opponent came up to me and asked me, Freddie, what did my fighter do wrong? And I because I had watched him and he has a very slow jab, and my fighter is a southpaw, and he has a really good hook, and every time he jabbed, he got hit with the hook left hand, and it was too slow. And I told him, I said, your fighter was being lazy with the jab. He was just laying it out there, and he gave my fighter room to time it with the hook, and your fighter got hit every time. And I said, well, that's because I saw that before the fight, that he was very lazy with his jab. He just kind of would paw out there to try to land a power shot, but I didn't let it work for him.
Pero mi jab no era lento, Freddy, era ¡pum! Ni lo veía.
No, your jab isn't slow, but I will watch the tape on you, and I will watch you as a trainer, and I'll watch the opponent as the guy we're fighting and what you're getting him ready for. I mean, it's not just a fighter I study. I study the trainer also, because what you do in certain positions can be common. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. And if it is common, I will take advantage of it. See, you know me well enough to know what I like to do and maybe what I don't like to do. And so that's why I have to study you more.
No, lo que acabo de aprender hoy como entrenador es que nunca jamás le digas a tu rival cuál es su error para seguirlo aprovechando.
But the fighter, my fighter ended up knocking down 5 times, and devastated his opponent. I don't think he's going to fight anymore, so I don't think we have to worry about that. Because I think he took such a beating in that fight. He should retire because he got beat up. He got beat up bad. Cuts, swelling, closed eye. My fighter, he perfected the hook left hand. It was very good, but now I know that I need more.
Claro. Bueno, don Freddie, algo que le quiera contar a sus fans mexicanos o hispanos, pues nos ve mucha gente de toda América. Algo que quiera contarle a los hispanos, que le quiera decir.
I'd like to say thank you for your support. Everywhere I go, now I have to take pictures and be nice. And because at one time in my life I was more angry, but now it's okay.
¿Por qué? ¿Por qué está enojado, don Freddie?
I don't know. It's just like I've been angry since I was a kid. I mean, I grew up that way. You know, it's like my brother Pepper used to beat me up every day, right? So one day we're in the bunk beds, and he's below me, and he's asleep, and but he beat me up earlier that day. So I'm there, Pep, wake up. And he wakes up, and I'm on top of him. I beat the shit out of him. But my mistake was I didn't plan when I could go home. Because I didn't know how much time would he let me go, you know. Because when I go home, I'm going to get beat up again.
Oye, bueno, pues don Freddie, muchas gracias por abrirnos la puerta la parte de su gimnasio fancy, donde entrenan los campeones. Aquí es donde entrena Manny Pacquiao y algunos otros que merecen en su ver entrenar aquí. Gracias por recibirnos, gracias por la oportunidad. Sé que hay muchas historias y nos podemos quedar miles de horas, pero pues le agradecemos este tiempo que nos dio. Estoy seguro que los fans mexicanos lo van a aprovechar.
Thank you.
Thanks. Amigos de Un Round más, muchas gracias. Espero que lo hayan disfrutado. Conocer un poquito de la vida de un gran entrenador que tiene mucha historia, Freddie Roach. Muchas gracias. Nos vemos pronto.